Water World Hydroponics. This is my second video. I'm going to show you this bucket here. This is a deep water culture bucket system that I actually offer for sale if you'd like to purchase one. Be happy to accommodate you. But more or less, this is an instructional video of how to assemble it. First step would be to connect your air stone to the end, one end of this 1/4-inch tubing. Now what you have is your lid upside down with the bucket lid ridge there. That's where it's going to sit on top of the black bucket here. Take your tubing and feed it from the bottom towards the top in your pre-drilled hole. Pull it through. Alright, so now your air hose is connected to your tubing, which is run through the bottom of your bucket lid and out the top. The top of your lid is where your air pump is going to connect to the rest of your tubing. Just plug that in right there. So now everything's connected. Everything's ready to go into the bucket. And that's what we're going to do now. Back at your bucket, go ahead and set your air stone in the water. There's a couple leaves on there. It's alright. Just set it in there. Stone is inside the bucket, laying down flat. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect the power to the electrical outlet. The air pump is on. You can maybe see some bubbles in here. Let's take the lid off here so you can see. There's a few bubbles in there, not a whole lot. This air pump right now is on the low setting, so we're going to turn it, and if you listen you might could hear it. You can probably see it. I'll turn it to high. All the way to high. I'll show you. Now you can see it's really bubbling in there. A lot of bubbles. Alright, so now your nutrient solution is going to get mixed up. It's going to stay mixed up. It's constantly moving, and it's getting aerated by the air pump. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and set your lid back on and push it into place all the way around. We're bubbling and going, ready to go. Before we put the plant in, here's what we're going to do. pH is important. I used to think it wasn't until I started using it and adjusting and making sure, and I could tell almost immediately. To me, pH is now as important as fertilizer is. You have to have it. It's very cheap. This bottle right here comes in a 2-pack. It comes with a pH meter. We put some water in, add the drops, and compare the color. You want to shoot, me personally, for these tomatoes, and from what I understand, most tomatoes, you want to shoot in the range between 5 to 6 on the pH. Now, I just go right in the middle and I do a 5.5. Depending on whether you use this General Hydroponics brand or whatever it is that you want to use, I would definitely encourage you to use pH adjustment depending on your pH of your existing water. pH out of the faucet runs right about 8. I'm looking for 5.5, so we have a ways to go. This stuff is extra concentrated. I would say it's about a 1/4 teaspoon per every just under 10 gallons. When I fill up my 15-gallon reservoir on my big table, I use a 1/2 tablespoon. So this is about a 1/4. We'll see. If it's too low, we can adjust it up with the pH up, but this should be good. Get me close enough for now. Go ahead and dump that in there before you put in your plant. And then just rinse. And now your pH is good. Now my nutrient solution and my pH down solution, they're mixing. Everything's well aerated. The water's turning clear. It's good to go. All we got to do is put this plant in. Designated plant today is going to be a red currant tomato. It's already been potted in a 4-inch pot. This plant is about 2 months old and has been in this pot for just over a month. And like I said, the hole is pre-drilled in top of the lid. I already measured to fit this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and set this tomato plant in the hole. Now the hole that's drilled in the lid is slightly smaller than the actual size of the pot, and you don't really want to just set it. It's a little bit smaller so it'll be a tighter fit. These plants get top heavy. You can see here it's already pretty well established. Got a main branch, and then it splits into two right here. And I'm just going to let these run along this chain link fence for support and try to run them down this way and this way. Go ahead and push your pot in there. Push it down. Kind of wiggle it and get it tight so it's not loose. And you can see if I press down, look right here, hopefully you can see the water. Now that's the perfect water height. Perfect. You don't want to have your water up and above the rock wool. Your water should never be above the rock wool. It should be approximately halfway down the rock wool, which we have here. I'm just going to take these tomato plants, kind of support them a little bit better against this chain link fence. And then what you want to do is take your air pump and set it right on top, in between the pot and the edge of the bucket lid. It's not going to slide off, but you want to set it there. You don't want to have your air pump below. If you stand a chance of the water to come, it's going to siphon, it could potentially siphon up and back into the pump and short it out. So if you have your air pump above the level where your air stone is inside the bucket, it won't siphon out into your pump. So I just keep it just like that. There's your bucket system up and running. There's absolutely nothing to it. It's a bucket, a lid, an air pump, a tube, and inside an air stone with a pre-drilled hole in the lid. Some bucket systems that we offer have a bucket already built into the lid. Just depends on what you're going for here. I had a pre-existing plant I wanted to put in, so I just used the one with the 4-inch hole. Other bucket lids look like this. This is an 8-inch bucket, pre-built. It's one piece into the lid for a 5-gallon or 3.5-gallon bucket. It's large. This is where you would put your lava rock and your shell mixture inside this area here, and then you could plant whatever you wanted to on top of that or in that. I wanted to mention this 2x4. I've got that 2x4 there to keep the bucket level. The ground's kind of sloped like this. This is the low end, so I put a little 2x4 corner to keep the bucket level. That way the water is evenly dispersed across the plant. So make sure you have your bucket level. So now your system's up and running, good to go. Occasionally what you're going to want to do is every couple 2 or 3 days check the solution level. Make sure the water is at the appropriate height. You're going to lose water due to evaporation from the heat, and also you're going to lose water due to consumption of the plant. So every couple days come out here, remove the lid just a little bit here on one edge, have a peek underneath and look in and make sure your water level is good. If not, add more water to top it off and add more solution according to how much water you put in. Remember, 1/2 ounce or 1 tablespoon per gallon. Make sure your aerator's running and plugged in. Make sure the breaker hasn't popped or anything, and make sure you have bubbles. 2 ways you can do that. You can listen for it and hear it. And another thing you can do is just put your hand on the bucket and feel for vibration. Kit comes with instructions on setup, recommended sun for the plant, tomato plant, and any other general questions regarding the bucket and hydroponics itself. Of course, if you have any additional questions, feel free to comment. I'll be happy to answer. This particular tomato plant here in this area is going to get partial sun in the morning. It's about 10 o'clock now. You see it's got some dappled sun. It's going to stay like this until about 12 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and get direct sun from roughly 1 o'clock to about 3 o'clock. Then dappled shade again in the evening, and full sun from about 6 to 6:30 all the way up until sunset. Plenty of light, lots of sun, not too much sun. It has shade during the hottest part of the day. It will keep the water cooler and also keep the plants from being so hot. They grow best if it's not quite so hot. Remember, this water does get warm as the temperature outside gets warm, of course. I wanted to show you guys this. This is just a Home Depot bucket with my lid with a plant that's already established. Now, when you have this system going, you have to do scheduled maintenance on it approximately every 2 weeks. Empty the water reservoir completely, rinse it out, and start from scratch in regards to the nutrient solution. So I recommend that you take the lid in your established plant and set it on top of another bucket just like this, so it will free your hands up to allow you an opportunity to get this bucket going correctly. And once the water's all mixed and we have the air stone in here, just simply remove this lid from off of this bucket and put it back on top of this black bucket there, your 3.5 gallon, and get it back up and running. So make sure you plant whatever plant it is you're growing according to the specifications required for the plant to grow its best. And that's going to do it. I don't have anything else on this. Like I said, if you have any other questions, and check us out on facebook.com/Water World Hydroponics. If you have any questions, please email waterworldhydroponics@yahoo.com. And of course, youtube.com/Water World Hydroponics is our channel. Thanks again.